Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today I wanted to show you guys my favorite build in the game. This is going to be the Juice 2.0. This is going to be kind of a long video, so I will include a timestamp overlay on screen now for when I start showcasing the weapons, armor, and furniture for this build. Really quickly, I did want to say thank you for the support to everyone who has been watching all my videos. I've been very satisfied with the rate at which we've been growing. It has exceeded my expectations, and I appreciate each and every one of you. For everyone who's new to the channel, I do a weekly video highlighting new events and what to do, what events you should be doing to get all of the items that are available each week. As well as ship build videos like this one that you're watching now. So subscribe if you want more content like that, if it sounds interesting to you. As you can see from the clips, this can one-shot a lot of ships. It can't one-shot everything in the game, obviously. There's going to be limitations, but it can one-shot a ton of ships. These rank 11 and rank 12 company ships during this defense were no problem. We can one-shot those all day long. And it just does an insane amount of burst damage in general. This build is great for Season 2. It does everything really, really well. All of the events. There are some small variations in furniture and weapon loadouts that we'll go over. That's going to be why the video is going to be so long. But this does really, really well in PvP, as you can see from these clips as well. It's, in my opinion, one of the best ship builds for PvP, and it's probably going to do really well in Season 3 also, especially in that 5v5 game mode, PvP game mode that we know is coming to the game. As for the dragon fight, that might not be the best fight for this build because of the auxiliary weapon. I imagine the dragon's going to be flying a lot and not sitting in the water. Could be wrong though, could be a water dragon, we never know. But I just imagine the auxiliary is not going to be the greatest weapon for it, and bombards maybe not either. Might need some long guns or something. But currently I think the Powderkegs itself is just the most underrated ship in the game. I see a lot of people using brigantines, snows, barks are really popular. In PvP I have been seeing like sloops and some small ships, and that's something I'm gonna have to look into separately because I've been focusing so much on medium ships right now and upgrading all my medium ships, trying to get all of those up there. But I will start getting into some small ships soon, so if you want to see some small ship builds, stay tuned. But I've also been seeing tons of sandbucks in PvP, and I think sandbuck is a great build for PvP, don't get me wrong. But I think where it really shines is going to be like boss fights and things with really, really high health, because it's a really good ship at keeping things ablaze and doing damage over time, as well as damaging any adds that are coming in with that 5k tick that it does, and setting everything ablaze whenever you set one ship ablaze. But when you look at the stats for the Powderkegs up against the Sandbuck, the base stats for brace strength and hull health are going to be higher in your Powderkeg. And while they may not be very much higher, when you consider that all of the food and furnitures in this game are percentage based, those percentages, those base stats, when combined with percentages, are going to make way bigger difference. And a good way to see this is going to be like put company screens on a Sandbuck and then put it on the Powderkeg and look at the difference between health there, even though that's a smaller one. A better one would be Ragout. Use Ragout on a Sandbuck and then use it on a Powderkeg and just feel the difference between how much damage you can brace on that Powderkeg as opposed to that Sandbuck, and it is quite substantial. Also, at the end of this video, if you did want to stay tuned, I am going to include what I think is like the most one-sided hostile takeover that I've ever done. I kind of felt like a bully for it, but that was the whole point of it, was to see how many times I could sink a ship. I think it was like 6 or 7 times. So if you do want to see that, stay tuned till the end as well. Alright, so let's get into this ship build, guys. We're going to be using the Powderkeg. Again, if you want to see and read all of these different stats and stuff, you're going to want to just pause the video. I'm not actually going to read them out loud. I'm just going to read why I use each individual item for the sake of speed. I don't want this video to be too long. It's already going to be a lengthy video. So the main thing here is going to be to make sure you get it up to rank 6 so that you get that siege passive, 20% weapon damage and 15% reload speed on explosive weapons. And we are basically going to have 3 versions of this build here. They're very, very slight differences, but I'll go over each one. I don't want to do them like separately necessarily. I will include each loadout in the description. So there will be 3 different loadouts for the 3 different uses, but they're so similar. I just decided to include it all in this same video. So for our weapons, we're going to be using the Dardnells. I love burst damage, and that's what we're going for with this build, is as much burst damage as possible, and the Dardnells give us that because it shoots all the weapons at once, and it also gives us a huge passive on the Powderkegs because of that detonate passive. But we have Dardnells on all 4 sides here. And then our big burst damage is going to be from the Infernal Maw. Now, the reason that this does so much damage is, if you read Incinerate, it deployed buoy erupts into a fire explosion when destroyed and deals 3,000 damage and instantly causing the target to be set ablaze. So you're going to throw the Infernal Maw down. Then you're going to try to hit them with one of your sides because it does more damage than the front or the back. You're going to want to try and hit them with one of your your port or starboard side weapons. And that way they take the full damage of the bombards, plus the Infernal Maw explodes, and they might even hit a buoy as well. So that'll be like another extra 1,500 damage from the extra buoy that they hit. And then so you get about a 10k hit. It does about 10k damage when the Infernal Maw explodes, plus the buoy that they might have hit, plus all of the bombard damage, which is why this does so much damage. But we also have a ton of damage buffs in our armor and furniture, and we'll go over those now. I did want to mention that when we're doing the Ubec fight, you're going to want to change out your starboard and port side weapons. You're going to want to change those out for Endless Requiem. The Endless Requiem is really good in those 2 open ocean ones. For the Course of Havoc, you can still just use bombards on everything unless you just want to. It's really personal preference. Try it out with both. Try Endless Requiem on the sides. Try the Dardnells on the sides just to see which one you like. But during the Verse of Remorse and the Verse of Vengeance, those are both in open ocean, and it can be a pain to land your Dardnell shot sometimes. So these Endless Requiems make it easy to just continually land shots on in those fights. So that's why we run that instead. And so for our armor, we're going to do 3 different armors for 3 different purposes. So the normal one is going to be your Buccaneer's Oath, and you're going to use this for basically everything except for PvP and the Ubec fights. If you're doing an Ubec fight, then you're going to want to use the Rhapsody of the Deep. And if you are in a PvP fight, you're going to want to use the Black Prince armor. This is probably going to get nerfed pretty hard, so this might change and no longer be the best PvP armor soon. But we'll see. Hopefully they don't nerf it too hard. I'm really hoping that they take the damage taken, just that damage mitigation, down from 50% down to maybe 40. I think that would be a very good nerf. I think the 33% is perfect where it's at. I think that it's that 50% damage mitigation that's just a little bit too high. If they bring that down to 40%, I think it'd be better. I think 35 is just a bit too much, which is what I'm scared they're going to do. I'm scared they're going to put it at 35% damage mitigation at 33% health, which is just a little too low in my opinion. But the reason we're using Buccaneer's Oath for everything else is going to be that Blood and Gold passive. You get another 25% damage, so you can see we're stacking just crazy amounts of damage already. We have 20% damage from the Powderkegs passive. We have the 300% damage from the Infernal Maw when we explode that. And then we also now have this 25% passive for 30 seconds after we sink an enemy ship. The reason we use Rhapsody of the Deep in the Ubec fights is just because of those torpedoes. This reduces the damage from those torpedoes, and you also, while you're bracing, it completely negates the effects of flooded. So if you get flooded, you can just brace through it if you're either on a restoration kit cooldown or you're just out of restoration kits. And then for PvP, we use Black Prince just because that right now is the best armor for PvP. That may change with the nerf. Again, not really sure what's going to happen. We'll just have to wait and see. So the furniture, things will change. There's some pieces that I don't have that I would like to try and use. But for now, with that Buccaneer's Oath, for everything except for the Ubek, and even with the Ubek, actually, yeah. So everything except for PvP, you're going to use the same furniture loadout, but for PvP, the furniture loadout will change a little. But so for Ubek and for this, for everything except for PvP, this is the furniture loadout you're going to want to have. We're going to use a signal gong, which increases our damage by 15%, increases our crew attack damage. We're gonna use Starboard and port Powderkegs to just increase the damage of those Dardnells on the sides. Gives us a huge burst damage when we hit them. So we hit that, like I said, when you throw that Infernal Maw down, and then you also hit their hull with the bombards, and you make sure you use Starboard or port side bombards, it's going to do a crazy amount of damage. Most ships, it will take half of their health in one hit in PvP. And of course, as you saw in the clips, it can one-shot NPC ships. We're also going to use Maintained Arsenal. That's going to buff that Infernal Maw by 10%. And then we're going to use Spiked Warhorn as well, which is going to increase the charge rate of our crew attacks, which just helps get that signal gong going, because that 15% damage buff across the board, that increases the damage of everything across the board. Those two synergize incredibly well together. And then Gunpowder Bench is going to be our kind of swappable. It's a very good one because you can set ships ablaze, but in PvP, most of the time they are going to cleanse that ablaze effect. So it's not going to help you that much, but in PvE it's very useful. Gives us another 10% damage. So we got 10% damage to ships that are ablaze there, 10% to basically all of our weapons, because we have this everything except for front and rear. And then we also get the 15% damage buff from Signal Gong, plus the 20% damage buff from Siege, plus the 25% damage buff from Buccaneer's Oath. We are just stacking damage buffs like crazy on this build. Okay, so for the PvP furniture setup, I just wanted to show that separately instead of individually, because it is, you know, a little bit different, and the way that it operates is quite different. So the Scrapper Station is going to be our major furniture, and that's just going to help us get more heals than our opponent, because you know how PvP fights go. It's basically, if you can heal more, then you can survive longer, especially in tight quarter situations. In open ocean, obviously, you know, you got your Brigantine, which is going to have a huge advantage in movement in open ocean scenarios, but typically you can force them to chase you down by breaking line of sight and things. So you can, there's certain ways that you can fight Brigantines to make it a fair fight. But we're going to go with Scrapper Station for our major furniture. We're going to go with Leather Fashioning Station for instead of the Ablazed. Instead of the 10% damage to Ablaze ships, we're going to swap that out for the Leather Fashioning Station. Basically everything else is going to remain the same. Those are the two that we're going to change. And the reason being is that Leather Fashioning Station is going to help against those Sambuck builds. And even when you're not fighting Sambucks, it seems like a lot of people are really leaning towards those Zamzama weapons, because they just do a ton of damage in PvP and they set things ablaze. They're really nice to use, but when you're able to heal as much as this build is, and you have this damage mitigation against a blaze, they really can't do too much to you. It helps so much that it makes the Padawakong, in a way, unless they're using the furniture that gives the reduction to AoE damage, because that is a big one. I believe it's 20%. Scrapper Station for your major furniture, Leather Fashioning Station for your purple miner instead of the, I believe, Gunpowder, I forget, the 10% damage to a blaze effect, Starboard Powderkegs, Port Powderkegs, Maintained Arsenal, and Spiked Warhorn for your PvP furniture setup. So as I said, I am going to include a hostile takeover here at the end. It was very one-sided. I did feel like a bully, but I just wanted to see how many times I could sink somebody. I really wanted to showcase how crazy the damage is on this ship, how fast you can really put people under pressure and cause them to freak out. So if you wanted to stay tuned and watch that, check it out. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. If you like the build, give it a thumbs up. It helps push this content out to other people. It really helps the channel. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Sorry, Tom. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all. You're a fucking idiot. Fucked up. That is fucked up. I probably ruined his day. Like, his day is fucked now. He is throwing a fucking fit right now. Like, losing his fucking mind. I would be. I fucking would be. I just killed him like 7 times in like 4